What's going on, guys? I'm here to review episode 11 of Pokemon Horizons. This episode is titled Arbolivia's Forest, with the summary for this episode being: Liko and Roy head for the forest where Brasky supposedly encountered the Black Rayquaza, with Molly deciding to come along out of interest. On the way, the three of them see the tragic remnants of a wildfire, though oddly enough, the spot they're headed for didn't get burned at all. They start their search for Rayquaza, but eventually end up getting separated from each other. In the meantime, the Arbolivia said to live in the forest start taking their action as well. So before I get to the main parts of this episode, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the beginning part, where so 2 episodes ago we see Liko was in a hurry. She was leaving the ship and she saw Needle-Thing's suit on top of the ship, but she didn't have time to really think about it and had to leave really fast. In this episode, she's finally confronting Dot about it. But Liko thinks that she's a super fan and not Needle-Thing herself. And I kind of think this part is a little annoying. Like, I kind of think this joke is getting dragged out. Like, she should have found out then. So I hope this is not a running thing. I hope they settle this, or she finds out soon, because it's pretty obvious. But let's get into the episode itself. That's just the beginning. So the main part of this episode is really about like Molly, right? We get it's a character development episode for like Molly. We get to know a lot about her past, but of course this episode continues where the last one left off, where Liko, Roy, and now Molly, she comes along too. They go to the forest of Arbolivia, and in the beginning of the episode we see Nimona leave. I'm actually kind of sad about that. I thought she was gonna tag along with the gang. I thought she was gonna end up tagging along, but she ends up leaving in the start, which I'm kind of sad about. I'm sad we only got to see her for 1 episode. I hope she comes back, but I'm not really sure. Maybe this was her only purpose. I really wanted her, to be a recurring character, but I don't know. I do hope she comes back though. So the main part of the episode is them exploring this forest. Is them just exploring the forest, right? With during the episode we learned a lot about Molly. Like I said, it's a character development episode for Molly. We learn about how her family, she came from a family of Pokemon doctors, right? And so her family wanted her to be that. Her family wanted her to work in the Pokemon Center, but Molly didn't want to do that because she wanted to travel and help the wild Pokemon, because not every Pokemon is going to make it to the Pokemon Center. And that's how she was thinking. She said she wants to travel and heal or take care of, injured Pokemon, right? So, and she really gets to show her skills because they encounter a Paldean Wooper, you know, the poop pooper, right? Who's drying up because well, it's drying up, right? So she ends up trying to help it in respect to health. But while they're doing that, a bunch of wild Pokemon in the area, they try to attack. They don't know. They're confused, right? They don't know, like, if they're messing things up or whatever. So they try to attack it, but of course, Molly has a really, like, rash personality, so it ends up intimidating the Pokemon to where they just let her do what she needs to do, right? But another big part of the episode, right, besides that, is the Arbolivia, the big Arbolivia. At the beginning of the episode, they think it's just a big tree, but it's actually a Pokemon, right? So they realize that, and to be able to they have to distract the Arbolivia, right? Liko and Roy have to distract it so it doesn't end up interfering with Molly's treatment of the Wooper. So they have a really good sequence where I don't think they really battle it. They don't really attack it like that, but they're trying to distract it. And I really like the tactics that they use. They don't just go for fire, because obviously Roy's Wake Coco would have been really good to use, since it has the advantage over Arbolivia, who's a grass type. But of course they can't do that because they don't want to cause another forest fire. So I think that battle was really creative. It was a really creative way, to buy some time. But she does end up nursing it back to health. So when Liko and Roy, it gets tired of them, the pooper, comes and helps them. So all's well that ends well. There's also a very, very interesting thing. We see an ancient Pokemon on Arboliva, so I'm curious because everybody thought, I guess Roy was the only one who had it, but now we see another one, so I'm really interested to see like what's going on here. Like, but we'll definitely find that out later on, of course. But this episode ends like with them looking at the forest. So yeah. So it ends right there. It's a two-parter though, so I mean I expected it to end kind of like this. The stuff will continue in the next episode. So, but this episode I did like it because I always like the character development. I always love them giving us backstories on these characters. I love Molly's backstory. She also has a talk with Liko. Liko is confused. She doesn't know what to do. Her mom and her dad, they all had this career. They're all out their career. They all knew what they wanted to do, but Liko doesn't know what she wants to do. And, I can relate to that. I can relate to not knowing what to do with your life. So, I feel for Liko and I feel for Molly. Molly's like, I came from people that told me what to do, but I wanted to go on my own path. So, I really do. I like their conversation. I think that's actually my favorite part of the episode, their little conversation. But yeah, I like this episode. It's all right. Not the best episode, but I love the character development in this episode. This plot will continue into the next episode. In the preview for that episode, we see a woman who kind of looks like Liko. I think it might be her mother. In the preview, we see that. So that's really interesting. I can't wait to cover next episode. But for this episode, it was all right. Definitely it's a good start. Love the character development. That's the highlight of the episode. But yeah, that's all for this episode. I'll see you on the next episode. It comes out Friday, but will I review it in time? I'm not sure. I always come out late with these, so we'll see. But yeah, final thoughts. This episode's all right. Love the character development. That's the highlight of this episode for me. So yeah, that's all for me, and I'll see you on the next one.